started once everyone gets back in.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. And also, Janie and Jesse, the next two sessions are yours. So once you're done with the first one, if you want to take a break and give people a quick 5 minutes, you can, or you can go straight into your next session. So totally up to you, but we'll give you guys the floor until 4 o'clock.
Okay, yeah, that sounds perfect. Thank you.
Okay, great. So welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to our Indigenous Youth Career Engagement event. We welcome you to this next session, again, which is being brought to you by the Region 8, Region 9 recruitment team, Jesse and Janie, and I will allow them to introduce themselves. So here is your opportunity to learn more about USAJobs and federal resumes. So at this time, I will turn it over to Jesse and Janie. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. We're so glad to be here today. So my name is Janie Corona. I am here on the Region 8, Region 9 recruitment team, and that covers the Eastern and Southern regions. So essentially, we like to look at it as like the Oklahoma side of Texas up and east. With a little bit of inconsistency there. I've been on the team since March of this year, and prior to that, I worked in Region 3, which is the Southwest region, on the Coronado National Forest out of Tucson, Arizona. And in that role, I was an administrative officer. So I had a really great opportunity to get a little bit more of that hands-on experience at the unit level. Prior to that, I was here in the South, here in Arkansas, and I worked for the Army Corps of Engineers as a talent acquisition specialist. And I've also worked prior to that for USDA, working for Farm Service Agency in the administrative and HR functions. I received my education starting off in criminal justice, which is a little bit of a funky path here to the work that we do. But after that, I went and got a master's degree in public administration, and I have a couple more hours and then I'll be done. But a lot of the work that I got to do in grad school really tied into some of the exciting type of stuff we get to do here for the Forest Service. And so really being able to take some of my passion for the outdoors, wildlife, and managing the land, as well as some of the just natural expertise that I was able to grow in on the administrative side. And so being able to kind of take those two worlds and bring them together in the workforce has really been exciting. Beyond that, I also have 3 wonderful children, and they are also so excited to be able to have the opportunity to kind of see what mom does in the workforce. And so with that, we've been able to go to some of the cabin rentals. We've also been able to explore some of our local lands and really get an idea of, what beautiful opportunities we have right here. And so it's really, really been exciting to be able to have that as part of the work that I get to do. And so with that, I'd like to also introduce my colleague, Jesse McDicken, and let him give a little bit of his background as well.
Hey, thanks, Janie. Good afternoon, let me start over. Hey, Janie, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Really, really happy to be here. Thanks, Sylvia, for setting this engagement up. I know it's something our team really wanted to take a part in and to engage with. So I'm happy to be here. Something I sat in on the background yesterday, just seeing how it was going. I really applaud the engagement that I seen. And so with that, I noticed that all the panelists, they kind of give a background of how they got to where they are currently. And that's something I found really exciting and really unique in the sense that no one was the same. Everyone has different backgrounds and a different path on how they got through the Forest Service to their current position. So I'm going to start there. I've been with the Forest Service for about 8 years now. When I was going to school, it wasn't until my junior year I even heard of what the Forest Service was. And I think that problem persists today as we're visiting different schools and institutions. That we could do a better job outreaching and just getting our name out there as an agency in a whole. But with that, I found a passion in outdoors and stewardship and restoration, and I decided that natural resource management might be the path for me. So I went through that program the last 2 years of college and obtained a natural resource degree with an emphasis in forestry. And at that time, I really didn't know what to do. Me being a first generation college graduate, kind of the main intent was to just obtain that degree, but really just look at my options after that. And then as a part of the curriculum for the undergrad work that I did, there was a summer camp that was to be attended in order to graduate, and that's when we visited Land Between the Lakes in Region 8, the western side of Kentucky. And that's when I talked to the recreation management specialist there, and them working through their non-for-profit organization that's on the unit. They had a couple positions for a 1-year internship. Me being new to the type of work and just being new to forestry in general, I wanted to hop into it to gain that experience for that next step. And housing was provided, and I had great support from family and friends that allowed that opportunity to arise. Great experience during that year at Land Between the Lakes. After that, I gained my PLC, but never really utilized it. Your public land corps authorization, so you could apply to merit positions. Instead, I went to the seasonal route. I spent a couple seasons out in Region 2, Durango, Colorado, on an initial TAC fire crew. And then while we weren't fighting fires all the time, we were patrolling, looking for smoke reports, and then also doing some motorized and non-motorized trail work. So I got some good experience in the fire realm and in recreation as a whole. And after that, I knew I kind of wanted to get closer to family and closer to friends. And I always found that Illinois was the place I wanted to be. But you have to take the opportunities that present themselves. So while in Colorado, I found this opportunity in Missouri, Region 9 on the Mark Twain. I put my name out there, and fortunately and gratefully, I got selected to be the next district silviculture forester. And that's where I spent the last 5 years of my career. With that, I learned about forest management in the Oak Hickory forest types. I learned about natural community types. While working with policy and NEPA and other departments to try to ensure that what we're doing is on track of what in meeting the needs of the public and staying true to our mission and values. With that, I really found a passion in outreach and recruitment while I was there. I was always volunteering for career fairs that were local or engaging with elementary, middle schools doing Smokey Bear presentations, me being sometimes Smokey the Bear and sometimes the handler, and doing everything I can to just outreach the public and to engage. And that's what I found the most joy in my work to be involved with. And that's when I met David. David was looking for a detailer on his recruitment team, Region 8 and Region 9. Unfortunately, that opportunity didn't arise, but when he wanted to expand the team this past year, I for sure threw my name in the hat, and that's when I joined Janie, who you just got introduced to, and we joined around March of last year. So this is all very new, but it's so exciting, and you get to meet so many people and work with a lot of people that are passionate about the same things you are. And going forward to today with our presentation, we're not going to have the most exciting presentation that you're going to sit through the past 2 days. But I do think it's the most important when you're looking to apply for Forest Service or federal positions on USAJobs, and that's what we would like to talk to you about. We're here. We're going to answer some questions that I hope you guys have, but just know that we're here after today as well. If you guys want to reach out to us directly, that's the main component of our job, is just to assist with organizations trying to do the same type of work we're doing, and also providing assistance to external leads to try to bring in new and diverse talent into the agency. So with that, I am going to let Janie handle it. She's going to cover half the slides today. The first part of the presentation is going to go over USAJobs. We would like to keep this pretty informal. We like to see engagement. We don't like to be stuck to a script and just reading off a page, but I'm going to monitor the chat. If you guys have any questions, I might bring it up to Janie, and we're going to have that conversation in time. So with that, I hope you guys enjoy, and please reach out with any questions afterwards or during the presentation. We're going to be happy to assist. So Janie.
All right, I'll take it from here. So I want to go ahead, and I should have started with letting you all see this slide. This is our contact information, but I'll make sure that we share our information at the end, as well as our constant contact, so that you all are able to get newsletters from us regularly as well. So now that we've gone over a little bit about us, I'd like to share a little bit about the Forest Service. So I'd like to introduce you to the Forest Service. Congress established the Forest Service in 1905 to provide quality water and timber for the nation's benefit. Today, the agency manages public land for multiple uses, such as recreation and for the sustained yield of renewable resources such as water, forage, wildlife, and wood. The Forest Service is under the U.S. Department of Agriculture and works to connect people to nature and to each other. The Forest Service cares for shared natural resources in ways that promote lasting economic, ecological, and social vitality. The mission of the Forest Service is to sustain the health, diversity, and productivity of the nation's forests and grasslands to meet the needs of the present and future generations. The agency motto is caring for the land and serving people. So with that, I'm going to go into the slides. I wanted to give you that first blurb so that you had a good understanding about where we are and where we'd like to head. So the Forest Service manages 193 acres of public land, when combined about the size of Texas. These public lands are in the form of national forests and grasslands. There are 154 national forests and 20 grasslands, each with several ranger districts located in 9 different geographical regions. With a top-notch workforce, the Forest Service cultivates healthy, resilient forests, habitat for fish and wildlife, and provides opportunities for outdoor recreation. The Forest Service is also the world leader in forest research. There are 81 experimental forests, over 500 employed scientists, and 67 laboratories across 5 regional research stations. The Forest Service makes up the largest forestry research organization in the world. And then Forest Service research stations provide scientific and technical knowledge necessary to provide and sustain the nation's natural resources on all lands, providing benefits to people within the capabilities of the land. So moving on to the next slide. So I'd like to go over our Forest Service values. We discuss this with the public, but it is really our code and commitment as employees as well. So it takes a talented workforce with various backgrounds and experiences to care for the land and serve the people. Our agency values reflect the proud legacy of the Forest Service, expressed in the language of today's workforce. As employees of the Forest Service, we believe in. So the first bullet is this service, and that service is to each other as connected counterparts and co-workers and peers, as well as to the American people and to the planet. The next is interdependence of all things, and that includes people and nature, communities and colleagues, and the past, present, and future. And we really, really focus in on that in all of the work that we do. The next is conservation, and that is protecting our lands when necessary, preserving when appropriate, and restoring our lands when needed, as well as the wise management for multiple use and enjoyment. And then finally, the next two are diversity. And this is diversity not just of people, but of cultures, perspectives, and ideas, and then the experiences and ecosystems. And the final, and one of the ones that I find most important, is safety. And that is in each and every way. And we really, really focus on that here in the Forest Service, from physical, psychological, and social safety. So moving on, I'd like to discuss about how the Forest Service The Forest Service has a position for each and every one of us. So not only do we have jobs for those who prefer the outdoors, but we also have those for individuals who prefer the indoors, as well as professional and technical fields. As Jesse and I shared, we talked about our different paths that came to essentially the identical position, and how one of, I went the different path and went through the administrative function, and he, came up through the seasonal fire and then silviculture function. We have permanent and temporary opportunities. We have opportunities for students and recent graduates, as well as individuals who aren't in school. Most Forest Service employees start out in temporary positions. Some of those positions are trail crew workers, wildland firefighters, biological technicians, and more. Seeking temporary employment or student internship with the Forest Service is a great way to gain experience with the agency, to work outdoors and get exposure to a variety of different careers. The majority of our entry-level positions are field going, meaning that most of the time that you would spend would be outdoors. There are a variety types of technicians, internships, such as wildlife and fishery, forestry, hydrology, soils, archaeology, plants, engineering, and rangeland management. In addition to that, we also have positions that are in customer service, visitor information, and a variety of other positions that work indoors and in that office setting while still interacting with our public. So I'd like to go beyond that and go into the Pathways program. So the Pathways program offers internships and employment opportunities for current students, recent graduates, and individuals with an advanced degree. The 3 different paths available each have different eligibility requirements. So our internship program is for students seeking qualifying degrees and certificates in high school, college, and in trade schools. And these educational institutions must be Department of Education accredited. Students that are currently enrolled or accepted for enrollment during the required periods of academic attendance. Students must be currently enrolled or accepted for enrollment during required periods for academic attendance. So another thing is that students must be in good academic standing, enrolled at least half-time, and beyond that, this program pays for opportunities to work in federal agencies and explore federal careers while completing educational requirements. And so the Pathways program is not just limited to the Forest Service. I've seen the Pathways program be utilized in a variety of different agencies across the federal government. The next is the Recent Graduates program, and that's for individuals that have graduated within the past 2 years or set to graduate within 9 months. And they must have a qualifying degree from a qualifying educational institution. This program offers career development with training and mentorship, and it's specific to individuals that have gotten the education for the position that they're looking to go into. With that, there's a little caveat that if you are a veteran, you have up to 6 years to apply if the military service obligations interrupted their initial 2-year period. And then finally, we have the Presidential Management Fellowship Program. And this is for individuals that are recent graduates with an advanced degree, such as a master's degree, PhD, or Juris Doctorate. So I'm going to go into the next slide. So a little bit more about our Forest Service intern not to exceeds. These interns are placed into temporary assignments and are used to fill traditionally summer jobs that require potentially not as much subject matter expertise. These temporary appointments are made for a period that is not to exceed 1 year. And then the internships may be extended for increments of 1 year lasting no longer than 8 years. These are for individuals that are current students in an accredited high school, college, and that includes community college, junior colleges, as well as professional, technical, vocational, and trade schools, advanced degree programs, or other qualifying educational institutions while they're pursuing a degree or certificate. These intern not to exceed opportunities offer students a temporary employment for typically about a year and can extend in 1 year increments, like I said, up to 8 years while the individual is still a student and available to work. So I'm going to go into the next slide. So we also have intern indefinites. These intern indefinite positions are for individuals that would like to be in a position that is related to their field of study. You have to complete 640 hours of work during the program, and at the end of it, the intern may be converted to a permanent position within 120 days of successful completion of the program. To be converted, interns must complete that degree or certificate requirements and perform the job successfully. Interns also must meet the qualification standards for the position that the intern will be converted into. And so that just means that if you're, going into a position, say for engineering, that you complete the qualification standards needed to be an engineer at the end of the program. So moving forward, I'm going to share about some of the upcoming events that we have, and then I'd like to open it up for questions for a moment. And so the next upcoming events that we have are the Society of American Foresters, and that's for recent graduates and interns. We're looking at the vacancy dates opening up next Monday and being open until the 28th. The next is the STEM conference, and that's associated with women of color, and again, for recent graduates and interns. And those focuses will be on GIS, engineers and engineering technicians. As you can see above, the Society of American Foresters will be focusing on foresters, forestry technicians, and then those prescribed fire and fuels focuses. And then we have a bridge event, which will be focusing on any individual that's looking to come and work for the Forest Service. And those occupations that we're looking at are in public affairs, recreation, partnership, and grants and agreements. And as you can see, the list continues to go on. At the end of this, we'll share these slides with Sylvia so that she can share them with everybody so that you can see what our next hiring events will be and how and what we'll be recruiting for, as well as ways to find this information so that you can make sure that you're ready to go with your resume. So I'd like to open it up for some questions, and then I'm going to go into the USAJobs portion of the presentation. If we don't have any.
Hey, Miss Juanita. Oh, hold on, Janie, just a second. Hey, Latasha, are you available? I don't think Sylvia's in here anymore. I was wondering if, because Janie, we had where we couldn't either we couldn't type in or speak or anything, so we were wondering if that's putting a hamper on some questions, but let's give it a few extra moments.
Let me take a look at some of the folks' access and let's see if that changes anything. Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I apologize. I did not think about that part. And as we continue to go, please feel free to put questions in the chat. Don't worry about interrupting as we're going through the presentation. Feel free to ask any questions that are coming to mind. I'll give it about 20 more seconds and then I'll start. Oh, here we go. Landry, is that correct? Let's see if I can allow your mic.
Landry may have to unmute themselves. All the mics have been enabled.
Okay. Landry, if you'll unmute yourself, you should see a area to do that on the top right corner of your screen, if it's the same as mine. Oh no. Give it about 20 more seconds. All right, while we work that part out, I'll go ahead and get started with the second part of the first part of our presentation, which is on USAJobs. And once we get the function working where everybody can unmute themselves, we'll go ahead and go back into questions. So applying for positions, and this is true for seeing Latasha's question, not.
Oh, sorry, Janie, that was the answer from my question about, I was wondering how many
Oh.
forests everyone visited. I thought that'd be a neat kind of experiment to see, but 20 is quite a bit.
20 is quite a bit. You might have me beat. You might have me beat. Oh, no worries, Latasha. I'm like, that was my confusion. I own that. So we'll go into the USAJobs portion. So all right. So before you start applying for positions, and if you know that you're going to be applying for one of the events that we have coming up, I really recommend creating yourself a profile. USAJobs, what you'll find is that the way that you build resumes for positions within the federal government is exactly the opposite of what we've been told in college. And so I feel like every one of us has been told in college to have your, one-page resume so that you can give it to a hiring manager that can look at it and decide if they want to hire you. And while it's really important to have a lot of keyword information, which Jesse will go over in his portion of the presentation, it's also really important to make sure that you really build a very, very explanatory resume. And so with that, one of the first things that you'll want to do is create a profile. So if you don't have a USAJobs account already, what you'll want to do is go to usajobs.gov to apply for federal jobs. So in the first portion, you will create your account. Like every one of us has created an account for something before. So you'll put in your email address and fill it out with the rest of the information that's needed. And then from there, you'll create your profile. So in here, you'll be able to make a profile for the types of positions you're looking for, but you can also create a profile that gives you the ability to be searched by recruiters. And so you can identify in there what states you're interested in working in, as well as the types of occupations you're interested in as well. So beyond that, you have the ability to upload a variety of documents. One of the biggest recommendations that I would recommend is building a resume through USAJobs. In there, it gives you all of the key information that you need. So you can have up to 5 resumes saved to your account. And when applying for different positions, you may be using different versions of your resume to explain experience related to the job that you're applying to. So be sure as you're applying for different types of jobs, especially coming out of school, that you are including any relevant experience, regardless of where it was obtained. So if you gained that experience through volunteer work, school experience, or anything like that, you're able to add that to your resume. And again, like I shared, federal resumes may be several pages in length as opposed to, that private sector one-pager. So going into the next slide, I'm going to show you the resume builder. So it has all of these options that you will want to have in your resume. And as I get into more of the information about what it looks like to look at some of the vacancy announcements, you'll see that some of this information is right there in the required information that you have to upload. So you'll build it just like you've built applications, I'm sure, in the past. You'll have the opportunity to put your supervisor, as well as this really important information right here, which is how long you were in the position, how many hours a week you worked, and what your salary rate was. So moving forward, you also have the opportunity to upload other documents. Other documents might include cover letters. If you're a veteran, it might include your DD-214, transcripts, proof of enrollment, as well as any other certifications, fire experience records, or anything that is relevant to the position that you're applying for. So I'm going to go into the next portion. and share about the opportunities that we have. So the federal government offers many different hiring paths to recruit and hire from different groups of people. For example, we have hiring paths that are for individuals that have a disability. We also have hiring paths for military spouses, students and recent graduates, veterans, and then Peace Corps and VISTA alumni. So as you are applying for positions as well as searching for positions, you have the opportunity to look and explore the different types of hiring paths and get some information on whether or not you qualify for them, as well as how to identify them within your application. And then obviously we have this open to the public. This is an opportunity for anybody, regardless of their current or former federal status, and it opens it up to all citizens. So what is a hiring authority? So there are different hiring authorities used to hire people to work for the Forest Service. Hiring authorities are established by law or an executive order and identify certain categories of individuals eligible for federal employment. Job announcements specify whether a position is competitive or non-competitive under the Who May Apply section. Many current and former federal employees and returning Peace Corps volunteers are examples of individuals who are eligible for non-competitive appointments. So we'll go into what that looks like here in just a moment. So as you're beginning your search, you have the ability to begin your job search by specifying locations or keywords to identify what agency you're looking for, as well as job titles, series, and so forth. So here in the search functions, you have the opportunity to identify the different hiring paths. Again, we have open to public, competitive service, and that's for competitive service. Again, it's individuals that are currently federal employees, as well as a variety of other hiring paths open to federal employees. Then we have our veterans, military spouses, and then beyond that, we have opportunities right here for students and recent graduates. And then as you are also looking in the search functions, you also have opportunities to really dive in. There are a number of different filters. You can filter for your pay, as well as different occupational series. You can also identify various agencies that you'd be willing to work for. So I definitely recommend looking in the search functions to see, to make sure that you're filtering down to the types of positions that you are interested in. Beyond that, we have the GS pay scale. Earlier, we explained each announcement will state a grade level for the position. A grade refers to the general schedule pay schedule or pay scale, which is the pay level for the job. The higher the grade level, the higher the pay. And we also, within the federal government, have a variety of other different pay scales. We have pay scales for law enforcement, as well as pay scales for individuals within wage grade types of positions and more. And so right here is the most up-to-date pay scale for individuals coming in at this GS3, 4, and 5, and that's based off of the rest of the U.S. Beyond that, we also have different areas that, based off of locality, may see an increase in what that locality pay looks like. But this is the bottom scale of what a GS3, 4, or 5 would be entering the agency in. There are 15 GS grades, beginning with GS1 and ending with GS15. Each GS grade has 10 steps, which are pay levels based on longevity in that grade. And then entry-level federal positions typically start between a GS1 and GS5. And if you have more questions about this GS pay scale, it might be helpful for Jesse if you'd like to put a link in the chat for where they can look up a variety of different GS pay scales. So beyond that, we'd like to go into reviewing the announcement. So once you've gained a better understanding of the job announcement, it's recommended to take time to review the announcement. Within the announcement, there are a couple of sections. Within the duty section, you'll see summaries, responsibilities, and further information about the position that's being offered. So this will allow you to gather keywords in order to tailor your resume. While you're looking in here, you're able to see that perhaps this resume is, or this announcement is built for individuals that are looking for a position within recreation. And so you're able to really look down at these responsibilities and make sure that your resume is tailored to that. Studying the section well will help your resume stand out. And then list any duties from some of your prior experience to include prior jobs, volunteer work, and school projects that you have completed. So the best way to determine important keywords is to review several job announcements for your ideal position. So as you are doing the homework for the position that you want to seek in the future, I recommend, going back here in the job search and really looking at, or right here in the job search and really looking at the occupations that you want to do. So if you plan on graduating with a degree in forestry, looking at forester positions so that you're able to really identify some of the keywords and some of the experience that you need to be working on as the years go by and you're building that resume. So beyond that, another important area in the job announcement is the job requirements. This section describes the type of experience you need, certain conditions that you need to agree to for the position, and how the hiring agency will evaluate your application. It's really important that you read this section. Some job announcements include multiple qualifications such as education as well as experience. So you want to make sure that you're really identifying that information in your resume and application. Because multiple positions require multiple sources for where your experience comes from. And so this is a great example of a position that has, certain requirements such as a commercial driver's license. Not all of our positions within the Forest Service have this length of requirements, but a number of them will, say something along the lines of possessing and maintaining a valid driver's license, or, some of this other experience as well. And then beyond that, you'll go into the qualifications section, and you have to have the basic requirements to be considered eligible for the position. So going into qualifications, you'll really want to look in here in the job announcement for information regarding keywords and what type of work you'll be required to have to qualify for the position you're applying for. If the relevant experience is not documented in your resume or the academic qualifications are not met, you might not qualify for the position. So here's an example of a position that shows general experience being required, that has, working with tools and equipment used in laboratories or field sites, observing field work, as well as, identification of plant or wildlife species. So in this position, you have the opportunity to either identify specialized experience or any one of these options below. So you really want to take the time to really identify and look at the qualifications for the position to make sure that you, one, have the qualifications, and two, are documenting those very well in your resume. So next, while you're modifying your resume, one thing that I highly recommend is going down to the questionnaire. This is, as you scroll down within the job announcement, you'll see this portion that says how you will be evaluated. And then you have the ability to view the application form. And so right here, you're able to click it and move forward so that you're able to review the questionnaire and make sure that you have, one, again, you have the relevant experience, and two, that you're documenting the relevant experience. And then the next thing that I want to go over is required documents. So each announcement is going to be different. And this is one thing that I find current federal employees really struggle on, is making sure that they upload all of their required documents. So be sure to review this required document section, because every announcement tends to be different. It'll tell you what must be submitted in your application in order to determine your eligibility for the position. So this is a section where attention to detail is, again, very important. You want to make sure that you gather all the required documents listed in the position and make sure they're uploaded. If they are not uploaded, HR cannot qualify you for the position if it's past when the position has closed. And so you want to make sure that if you're prior service, you have your DD 214 in there. If you're prior federal employee, you have your SF50, that you have your transcripts. One of the things that I do as a current employee is when in doubt, I upload extra. So if typically I'm required to upload, say, my performance appraisal, and one announcement doesn't necessarily say it, I'm going to upload it anyway, just so that I'm on the safe side. So claiming veterans preference, when submitting an SF15, an application for 10-point veterans preference, you must submit additional documentation. So for individuals that are claiming this veterans preference, it's really important that you make sure that you not only submit your SF15, but you also submit that DD 214 as well, so that you are able to claim that veterans preference. So once you're ready to apply, you'll go back into the vacancy and you'll select apply. And then from there, you have the opportunity to select the resume that you want. This individual, Bear Smokey, has identified a couple of different resumes. And so he has one of his resumes that's for summer and then his pathways resume. So that he's ready to apply for a variety of different types of positions. And then beyond that, he also has his unofficial transcripts and his cover letter, just to show, just so that he has those having those documents already in USAJobs makes it so much easier to select them and be able to move forward with the application. But in this area, you're able to continue to upload more documents as other documents, such as your transcripts, may become outdated. So then you have the opportunity to review and make sure that you have all of the associated documents. And if you don't, if you realize you forgot something or you meant to upload a different resume, don't worry, you have the ability to refresh it as long as you do it before the vacancy closes. So right here, you'll review and make sure you have all of the associated documents. And then from there, you will certify and continue to the agency site. Now, sometimes I see individuals who think that they're complete from here. You'll want to actually make sure that you continue to go. Each agency has a different site that they utilize, but in here you have the ability to identify which positions you're applying for, as well as the duty locations that you're looking for. From here, you'll also answer different questions in reference to your qualification. And then I'd like to go over the location negotiable section. The location negotiable option allows a candidate to be considered for multiple job locations that were not initially advertised or selected. What this does is it allows the agency flexibility to place a candidate in a location where there is a need. And this is an excellent choice for a candidate that's a beginner in their career, so that they have the ability to increase chances of selection. So I'm going to pause for a second and hand it over to Jesse.
Hi, Jenny. Yes. Could you go back to slide 34, please? I was thinking maybe it would be good to talk about our centralized hiring events that are coming up this fall, and maybe how this part of the process is different from the single vacancies that we typically see.
Yeah, absolutely. So there are a variety of different types of positions you'll see on USAJobs. So I'm going to go back over here to our calendar so that you're able to see it for a second. All right, so up here we have our upcoming events. In here, for all of the events that you see right here, you're going to see duty locations from California all the way to, New York. And so by identifying the variety of different locations that you're looking for, you're able to broaden your search. But then on the flip side, you'll also see positions open various times within the year that are called single vacancy listings. And those positions will be positions that are advertised by a local unit. For example, I'm here in Arkansas, so I might see a local unit advertise a position for an archaeology tech in Jesseville, Arkansas. And so that would be an example of a position that is a single vacancy listing and a position narrowly just for that duty location. You'll see a lot of that information oftentimes documented within the job announcement. And then again, here are these upcoming events that you'll see. Beyond that, we also have different collective hiring events where you'll see opportunities for positions listed across the United States. And so again, those are opportunities where the more locations that you list, the better opportunity that you have for finding a placement. And then Jesse, if you had some more information you'd like to share.
Yeah, I'd like to just tack on something else, is that there's been a lot of questions doing some of these career consultations, as our leads have been looking throughout the application process, and they apply and they don't have a choice to choose a duty location. There's been instances with the strategic entry level events. SAF, for instance, we have over 800 positions that are going to be flown for this event alone. So the way that I see that HR is doing it is by allowing you to apply. The positions are nationwide. Some of those announcements might say location negotiable after selection. So just proceed through that application process as normal. Once you come through that first line, that resume review, you'll be sent a questionnaire that asks you to list the top 3 or 5 positions that you'll be willing to relocate to. And of course, if there's an occupation in the unit that you're currently in, obviously you don't have to relocate. But that's kind of how we see things changing with these large events. There'll be questionnaires after that first line of review to see what duty locations you'd be willing to be considered for. And then that's just how that process is kind of going. So we can clarify some of those questions, but if there are any. But yeah, so just be mindful that it's different if you're used to applying for single vacancies where there's the duty location already presented, versus the ones that are nationwide. And something else to tie in, and Janie, I'm almost done, but with these SAF events, the partnership event that just closed, the STEM event coming up, when we receive the communication packages from the national team for these events, we're going to have an interactive an ARC map that will provide a link. You can go to it. You can see what duty locations are hiring for which occupations of that certain event. So you can really pull that up in real time and see where those duty locations are going to be offered. So with that, Janie, I'll let you continue with your slides, and thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Jesse. One of the coolest parts of working with individuals that have that diverse background is they're able to fill in the blocks for places where you may want to identify more information. So it just goes right back to our Forest Service mission of having that interdependence and ability to rely on our teammates. So thank you again, Jesse. So I'm going to go into the qualification questions. After you've selected the grade levels and locations that you would like to apply to, you have to answer qualification questions. These questions include your work experience as far as years, type of work, skills, education level, and your overall knowledge of a particular field of study. You must select the answer that best reflects your education and experience. And one of the things that I find in here is sometimes I forget that I have some of the experience that is listed in here. Like if I were to apply for an administrative officer position, I may, there may be a question that I didn't reflect in my resume. For example, one question that I see often is briefing leadership teams. And it's like, yeah, I've definitely done that. I haven't listed that in my resume. So I may take a pause and make sure that I've clearly articulated that in my resume. Make sure that you're taking this time to ensure that all of the information that you are identifying here in these qualification questions are supported by your resume and transcripts, if applicable on transcripts. And then after you've gone through the questions, you'll find that your resume may be able to improve with a little bit more polishing. You can go back, edit your resume, re-upload, and then continue that application process. So here are some examples of assessment questions. The Forest Service rates and ranks candidates based off of qualification, and that is in our application process. These questions measure proficiency in various job-related skills. So questions could require multiple choice or a yes or no answer. Occasionally, there are essay types of questions that may be used to demonstrate work experience. If you meet the qualification requirements and are determined amongst the best qualified, you'll be referred to a hiring manager for consideration. Here's a reminder that under how you will be evaluated, you'll be able to review the application and the assessment questions to ensure that your resume supports your responses. And so again, if you recognize that maybe you didn't provide a lot of information about how you've done a lot of work with providing basic information to visitors regarding recreation, you can go back into your resume and go back and hone some of those skills in there and really articulate that clearer. So at the end of it, you'll have the opportunity to finish submitting your application. Again, you can go back and re-review your resume, make sure you update it to that latest transcript. And as long as you ensure it's put in before the closing date, you have the opportunity to go back and edit it. Again, all final edits must be submitted prior to the closing date of the application, or else it will not be considered. So moving forward in the what happens next, oftentimes we get this question of I submitted my application, but where is it at next? What are the processes? So once you submitted your application and the vacancy announcement has closed, the following steps will happen. 1, the agency will notify you that your application was received. And then 2, the agency reviews eligibility and qualifications. So that typically happens with the HR teams. And then after that, once they determine qualifications, that you'll get a notification via email that says whether or not that you've been referred or you've been considered as one of the best qualified individuals. So from there, the agency will determine whether or not they want to conduct interviews as well as reference checks. And then during the next process, the agency selects the best candidate for the position. Immediately after that, the applicant is given a tentative job offer. And then after that process, all other applicants will be notified of non-selection. So I'm going to take a quick pause and open it up for any questions that anybody may have, as well as any more clarifying information that maybe Jesse would like to share.
Hey, thanks, Janie. I think before we engage with questions, would it be a good idea to maybe share either my screen or yours and go over the outreach database and show some like approved single vacancy announcements and how to sign up for those that you get a notification once they're open on USAJobs?
Yeah. So I'm going to have you actually repeat that. I got distracted for a quick second.
Oh, that's fine. I was just thinking about how else we utilize USAJobs and to see current and upcoming vacancies. And a lot of times I know our recruitment team utilizes the outreach database. And that's a tool with the Forest Service that we have approved single vacancy announcements that we see upcoming. They're not currently open on USAJobs. But you can fill out a form, an outreach response where we let you guys know when those USAJobs positions are opened up. And all you have to do is receive that email and be like, okay, today's the day I need to apply. So I just kind of wanted to go over that momentarily, just show that. I know we ended a little or not too soon, but we ended with plenty of time that we can answer some questions afterwards. So.
Absolutely. So, yeah, if you'd like to go into the resume portion, I'll pull up some information. I'll pull up the information on the outreach database and provide a link to all of the individuals. And then I'll pull up the outreach database so that I can show individuals what it looks like in there for them to gather some of that information.
Hey, Jenny, before we might need to take a quick break until the resume portion. I have the database pulled up. If you'd like me to share the screen, I can talk through it a little bit.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to stop sharing.
Excellent.
While he's pulling that up, how's everybody hanging in there? For individuals that are able to unmute themselves, is everything clear so far? Are we overwhelmed with information?
No. Okay, guys. So, okay, you have your hand up. Would you like to?
Oh, just a quick comment. I think it can probably be overwhelming. I always laugh at our tribal liaison locally here. She said when she applied for this position, she spent 20 hours getting her application done, and she was in tears. And she said my mom was even in human resources with the Forest Service, and it's quite the experience, but I think it's a good one. So thank you for providing this. I'm glad you're recording it.
Of course, thank you. That's a good comment, and we see it with a lot of external leads that we build relationships with. It is a daunting experience, and if you've never done it, you really don't know where to start or what the correct way of doing it is. And we just try to keep diligent on providing correct assistance and really hit home on the processes that HR really looks at and which ones that kind of prioritize that process in general. So yeah, thanks for that comment. I know it's quite the experience for anyone getting involved with it. But real quick before we go into questions, I provided the link in the chat. But the Forest Service, we have a database or outreach database that works through our e-tracker system, and every single that gets approved, it goes into this outreach notice where you can see positions upcoming that are currently vacant. We're just waiting for that vacancy date to put it on USAJobs. So with that, you can really filter it out a lot of ways. There's not a whole lot on here. Well, there's 937 entries. So the way I like to do it, I like to look at this when I'm doing outreach and things like that with local units is you can check a duty location based on state. So let's look at, let's just say Colorado, for instance, and then you can perform a search. And it shows all of these positions, 52 positions in Region 2 currently that are expected to be announced on USAJobs coming up. You'll see the grade level that they're going to be hiring for, the series, and it'll provide a link for each occupation that you see on here. Let's find a good one. Let's just do a fuels position. So it brings up another screen. It shows who the contact is, usually the hiring manager. Outreach editors, they're usually people on that local unit helping with the position description and getting that process going. It shows what kind of position it is. So it's a primary fire position. It's a permanent position. It has the position description included, so you can bring that up. It'll show how many vacancies they're looking to hire through it. And then under each one of these positions, there's going to be an attachment. So you can download that. Maybe, my apologies. I should have this pulled up before I started presenting, but. All right, so it just goes over the position in detail, what duty locations are looking to hire. It looks like even though this is a single vacancy announcement, it looks like there's a lot of different duty locations tied into it. It talks about the area, the fire management organization within it, the program as a whole, the community, and then you go down here and usually, yeah, this Region 2 outreach, you'll fill that out, and then you can send that outreach notice by the end of the date that it's determined. And once those positions come open on USAJobs, you'll be sent an email, whatever email you provide, essentially letting you know it's open. And this is a great way to stay engaged. We're going to provide some other contacts and useful tools to also stay engaged, such as our recruitment team Constant Contact. But if you're looking for a particular occupation in a certain duty location, this is a great way to start looking, especially if you're an internal employee. It allows you to see which ones are coming open. You can start preparing for that in a sense. And then you could forget about it and they'll let you know when those jobs come open. So I just wanted to touch on that a little bit. I know it's pretty useful for some people that aren't seeing positions open right away. There's some discouragement. So being able to filter by the state in which you live or the state you're looking to move to, this is a great place to look. So with that, I'm going to unshare my screen. We have about 10 to 15 minutes, it sounds like, for questions and answers, or if there are any comments, or if you need clarifying discussion on anything, we're open to that for a few minutes. And then I was thinking we would take a short break until the USA or the resume portion. So with that, I'll quit talking and open it up to the floor. Thank you.
Start off with, oh goodness, you I cannot see your whole name. K7?
Could be a legacy name.
I did not lower my hand, sorry.
Oh, no worries. No worries. All right. I'll share that one of the coolest things about being able to present with you all is to be able to make the connections. I know that when I was first applying for positions with the federal government, I was lucky enough to have an individual on the inside to provide me some of the expertise when it came to resume building and how to get through the USAJobs process. You can think of me and Jesse as your friend on the inside. We would love to connect with each and every one of you and really be able to help you get on the other side of federal employment. And so please keep our information. We would love to not only speak with you, but speak with some of your colleagues as well.
And to go off of that, Janie, we our Region 8, Region 9 recruitment team, we offer career consultations and mock interview help and whatever assistance either external leads have, or if we can assist internal employees, great. And we use the Microsoft Bookings application. We find it a great tool that we provide with most of our outreach emails. It's a simple link. It'll take you to the page. You can pick which recruiter you would like to meet with. It has a standard time and date you could choose from, and then that gets put on our calendar. So we're always aware of any scheduling that occurs in the next 24 hours all the way to months out. So it's a really useful tool that we seem to be using a lot of. Especially this time of year when we're engaging with institutions and other external leads when they're looking for that help, like we're presenting with USAJobs and resume. That's a main component of our duties, is to providing that assistance, making sure that they can get through that application process without any technical issues. So we want to provide the information that's required, the information that's necessary, and any tips or suggestions that we feel necessary. And then we work with whoever we're speaking with at the time, and we talk about it during our time. They work on the resume, then they can send it back to us. And then we can look over it again and let them know, hey, you guys are set. It's time to apply. And then we can move over into if they need assistance with the application process as well. We can schedule out some dates for that. So just know if you guys have any students or external folks that you've been talking to that could use some help or is looking for some assistance, that's what our recruitment team is here for. So that's not just external leads either. We have previously helped internal employees, especially 1039 employees, using their LWFA hiring authority to try to get into a permanent status. So we might not be the most knowledgeable, but we do have the resources and the personnel to find out answers if we don't have them, or to help work through an issue. Just keep us in mind going through these hiring events. So with that, we'll take another couple minutes for any other thoughts or questions, and then maybe I was taking a 10-minute break and then meet back up at the beginning of the hour.
Thank you all. So I'd love to get an idea, well, I know that we're a little bit quiet in here right now, and I know it's day 2. But for individuals that are here as participants, if I can get maybe just by a show of raising hands, how many individuals have already applied for positions through USAJobs? And if you'd be so inclined to share, have individuals found the process to be at all cumbersome? Is this information helpful for individuals? I also understand that some of the functionality can be a little bit different with the live presentations too.
Yeah, Jenny, that's a good point. It's a lot of information that we just presented, and there's a lot of functionality with USAJobs as a whole. Some stuff that we're learning, and we're bouncing ideas back and how to transgress through it, or how to produce a resume, or if more than one resume is needed. So we as a team, we're always looking for better ways to provide a service. So yeah. Looking to hear what anyone has to say with their experience with resumes, whether that's being or having issues getting through a process, and how did that get mitigated, or if having a bad experience with USAJobs, and if it deterred you from applying, or if you found a great way to navigate through it. Yeah, just hearing those general thoughts before we take a quick break would be great.
Hello, my name is Terry J. I'm actually a student participant at San Carlos Apache College, and was given this link from my environmental biology teacher. And so just being here for the 2 days, I've been having internet connections. That's a whole fun story on tribal lands in itself, but just the information that has been presented has been extremely helpful. I met with him later on in the evening yesterday, and I had told him I never see myself in these positions because I didn't know that they were available. And as you're starting to reach out to tribal communities, and especially going into the application process, I thank you because I had no idea, and it is giving me the right direction I need to go. Thank you.
Yeah, Terry, thanks for that. So happy to hear that. And Jenny, if you have any comments on that, I'd be happy to hear those too.
Yeah, Terry, thank you for sharing that. And I definitely understand, living here in Arkansas, we have a lot of the rural communities that are, we're still utilizing satellites for internet sometimes around here. So definitely understand some of the connectivity. But so excited that you're here, so excited that you're interested in positions, and we're just so happy to have you here. All right. Well, with that, if there's not any other questions, we'll go ahead and give you guys a 12-minute instead of 10-minute break, and then we'll go on into the resume portion.
Yeah, thanks, Jenny. See you guys at the top of the hour.